Believe it or not, I'm in an airport lounge right now.
And that's not all Qatar Airways First Class has to offer. I'll be checking out the rest of the impressive Al Safwa First Class lounge before boarding my 6-hour flight to Bangkok. There's plenty of food and drink on offer, and with ticket prices over $4,000, I'll show you how I got it for a fraction of the price. Join me as I experience Qatar Airways' most exclusive product. I'm starting my journey in Doha at Hamad International Airport, where I hopped out at the dedicated entrance for first and business class passengers. I'm back at the premium check-in area, but today I'm turning right for the first time, where I'm escorted to the first class counters. There's a long row of private check-in desks where I took a seat and was given a hot towel while the formalities were handled. I was handed my boarding pass, and after having seen so many silver business class boarding cards, I always thought the first class ones would be gold, but they are in fact just Qatar's signature burgundy colour. I continued forwards, where first class customers have a completely separate private security lane and private passport control. And even better, you can completely avoid the main terminal area by using this private escalator entrance to the Al Safwa First Class lounge. This lounge is unlike any other lounge I've been in. The scale and grandeur of it really hits you as you enter. There's huge pieces of artwork on the wall, ancient Qatari relics on display, making it feel more like a museum, and this indoor waterfall feature lining the wall. And that's just in the entrance passageway. Let's continue forwards. The centerpiece of the lounge is this impressive water feature, but I'm heading further ahead past the wraparound cocktail bar where the staff can serve whatever you can dream up, to the a la carte fine dining restaurant. I wasn't super hungry, so I decided to order 2 starters instead of a larger main course. First up was the poached lobster sitting in a coconut and lemongrass dressing with mango and avocado on the side. This tasted great, and so did the champagne I had to go with it. Next was the seared Wagyu carpaccio with shaved fennel, baby carrots, asparagus, peppers, and honey mustard dressing. This was also delicious, and I have to try something from the main courses next time I'm here. For a more casual experience though, there's also a deli in another part of the lounge which serves light bites like sandwiches, baked goods, and other treats. The Al Safwa lounge has its very own spa. Another water feature here runs throughout the facility, which creates a calming, trickling sound as you walk around. There are massage rooms and other treatment rooms which can be booked at an extra cost, but I requested to use the jacuzzi room, which is available on a first-come, first-served basis. This is such a cool novelty in an airport lounge, and it makes you completely forget where you are for a while. Once you're done here, there's a relaxation area with beanbags where you can chill out. Longtime viewers of the channel will recognize these. Leave a comment below if you know what I'm talking about. Back in the central lounge area, I'll do a quick whistle-stop tour of the rest of the features. There's plenty of seating around the lounge, from these private solo booths to more seating in this indoor-outdoor style area. Of course, as a first-class passenger, if the horrors of the main terminal area are too much, there's separate duty-free shopping within the first-class lounge with higher-end brands. There is still an escalator which will take you to and from the slums below if you so dare. There's also a media room with a huge TV, a business center with computers in individual offices, a baggage storage room, and immaculately clean marble-clad toilets. Since I had some time to kill before my flight, I reserved one of the 15 sleeping rooms, which are also available on a first-come, first-served basis. These are just as good as a hotel room and a perfect place to relax on a long connection. Apart from the comfortable beds, there's a TV, desk, and a fully equipped private toilet and shower, stocked with diptyque amenities. I jumped in and had a nap until my flight was ready for boarding. Now, my flight was ready for boarding, but because I'm stupid, I walked myself to the gate. First class passengers can actually board directly from the lounge via a first class bus, which I missed this time. But here's a few shots of the bus from a more recent first class trip. Anyway, I was boarding from gate B3 today, and I had a quick look at the A380 I was flying on before making my way down the jet bridge. On board, the cabin crew greeted me by name and guided me to my seat for today, 2K. I've been wanting to fly this product for a while now, so I couldn't help but smile as I got comfortable in my seat. The crew handed me the first class amenity kit, which I'll check out later, and a set of pajamas. The pre-departure service started with a glass of Armand de Brignac champagne, or Ace of Spades as most people call it, which retails for over $300 a bottle. This was served alongside a small bowl of cheese and olives with a cold scented towel to freshen up. The food menu today had Expo branding for the ongoing Horticultural Expo in Doha. Since this was a 2 AM departure, the food offering was reduced compared to the daytime menus I've seen on the same route, which has a wider selection of dishes. Nevertheless, I ordered as much as I could when the crew came by to take my order for both the first meal service and breakfast service. I asked to eat straight after takeoff since Qatar offers dine on demand, which they also offer in business class. To finish up the pre-departure service, I was given a premium date, which I ate just before the seatbelt sign switched on and the cabin dimmed as we approached the runway for takeoff. After takeoff, the crew came back to pour another glass of champagne, served with some mixed nuts, which I enjoyed as my table was being set, including another top-up, in preparation for my first course, the caviar service. This came served with smoked salmon and the usual accompaniments, and I loved the design of the plate as presented on. I went for my usual stacking everything on the blini technique, and everything here tasted great. There's nothing quite like caviar to kick off a first-class flight. Next up was the soup of the day. I completely forgot to ask what this was, but it was definitely tasty since I cleaned up my bowl with the help of some bread from the bread basket. For my main course, I had a choice of quinoa salad, pulled chicken sandwich, or lamb kofta. Not wanting a salad and not being a fan of lamb, I went for the chicken sandwich. This tasted perfectly fine, but I was a bit surprised to see what's essentially just a simple burger served in first class, especially compared to the quality of catering I've had on all my other Qatar business flights, including overnight ones. This felt a bit out of place and not very first class. To finish up, I opted for the cheese plate, which contained a selection of international cheeses and a bowl of crackers on the side. And that concludes the first meal service, just as the sun was rising over the horizon. Not wanting to sleep straight away, I made my way to the back of the upper deck cabin, behind business class, to the standout feature of Qatar's A380 and what I consider the best bar in the sky. The bar is shared between first and business class passengers, and I've covered it a couple times on the channel before. I asked the bar staff to prepare me a surprise cocktail, and I ended up with a green tea mango splash, which was pretty refreshing. I sipped this and enjoyed the views out the window. The bar also has a selection of sweet and savoury canapes available. I tried a few of these, which were all nice, and had a good chat with the crew and a few other passengers who weren't sleeping either. Although, speaking of sleep, the tiredness was starting to catch up with me, so I made my way back to the first class cabin to get ready for bed. There are 2 toilets at the very front by the top of the forward stairs. The amount of space in here is unreal, and although there's no shower like competitors Emirates and Etihad, this is still one of the nicest and largest toilets in the sky. There's a ridiculously large mirror, probably the biggest in a plane. Same goes for the oversized sink. Small hand towels are beside the sink, which I always prefer to paper ones, and of course, Diptyque branded soap and creams. There are even more amenities in this drawer, which is kept stocked throughout the flight. And these toilets even come with their very own roses and orchids, which are real by the way. Now you might be wondering where the actual toilets are in here. Well, they're hidden under this leather-bound seat cover. But enough about the toilets, let's check out what's inside the black leather first class amenity kit. There's a pair of socks, Diptyque branded body lotion, face cream, lip balm, and an eau de toilette, with a face mask and earplugs too. It's a decent kit, but apart from the bag it comes in, it's exactly the same as what you get in business class. Anyway, Time to get into my pajamas and head back to my seat. While I was getting changed, the crew had kindly made up my bed for me, just in time for me to jump in and get a couple hours of much needed sleep. Good night, even though it's the morning. I woke up about 90 minutes before landing, just in time for the breakfast service. Even though I didn't get too many hours in, this is up there with one of the most comfortable beds in the skies I've slept in. It's a shame the flight wasn't a bit longer. The crew left a hot towel on my side table to freshen up, before setting my main table again and serving a plate of cold cuts with smoked salmon, roast beef, red caviar, egg, emmental and brie. There was also a pastry basket with a croissant and other breads on the sides. Once I'd finished that, I had a traditional Arabic breakfast with pita bread. This consisted of full medames served alongside feta cheese, tomato, cucumber and olives. With breakfast out of the way, I went to get changed back into my clothes, freshened up again with another hot towel, ate a mint that the crew handed out, and chilled on my phone for a bit as we approached Bangkok. I've said before that I'm not really a fan of plain breakfasts, even in premium cabins, and today was no exception. Everything tasted fine, but it just didn't feel very first class. I've yet to be impressed by a breakfast in the sky, so I'd be keen to hear in the comments if there's an airline which excels in this category. Let's do a quick seat tour before arriving. The seat itself is wide and comfortable, and so are the two provided pillows. There's plenty of space to stretch your legs, and the ottoman under the screen is set up for companion dining with its own seatbelt. The privacy partition can be partially lowered, which doesn't do much on the window seats, but for those sitting in the middle, the entire burgundy divider can be raised or lowered depending on who's next to you. Buttons in the armrest will adjust the seat to preset seating positions, but there's also a small retractable touchscreen where finer adjustments can be made to each part of the seat. There's a generously sized fixed side table with an even larger pull-out table for dining or working. Lighting-wise, each seat has 3 windows with individually controllable electronic window shades, a reading light built into the seat, and a lamp by the TV. Right next to that is the international power socket, and on the other side of the screen is the personal wardrobe with hangers. Although, if your bag doesn't fit in here, there's a larger closet at the front of the cabin where the crew can store your bags for you. No individual air vents above. The noise-cancelling headphones are the same as business class, although, unlike business, they're stored in this leather pouch instead of plastic wrap. And finally, all first-class passengers get a voucher code for free Wi-Fi access. Whilst I actually quite like the seat itself and the design, the cabin is not private at all and feels very open. My understanding is that it was designed this way intentionally for families travelling together. With the flight almost over and Thailand getting closer, let's talk about how much this flight cost me. But first, check out this Emirates A380 flying alongside us, also going to Bangkok. This was so cool to see in person, it looked way closer than it comes across in the video. Let me know if you've ever seen another plane flying nearby like this, it always amazes me. Anyway, back to business, or first I should say. Typical prices on this route can reach over $4,000, but thankfully I booked a redemption seat for 75,000 avios and £86.20 in taxes. We touched down around midday at Bangkok Suvarnabhumi Airport, where today's journey comes to an end. Overall, I have mostly positive feelings about Qatar First Class, but there were definitely a few things that could be improved. To start things off, the first class facilities on the ground at Doha are very impressive. From the private check-in to the grandiose Al Safwa lounge with its water features and spa and dining and bedrooms and just the scale of it, to private boarding from the lounge, meaning you never have to step foot in the main terminal. It's a pretty slick experience, if you don't miss the bus like me. On board, the cabin feels extremely spacious, as does the seat, although this does come at the cost of privacy, which is pretty non-existent here. The champagne on offer was very high-end, but I was surprised to find the catering a bit lacking for first class. Apart from the caviar, I've definitely had better meal services in Qatar business class, both in quality and range of choice. The reduced offering was because of the late night departure, but I feel like a full menu should always be available in first class. I'll say it again, but I think the Qatar A380 bar is the best in the sky, and I always love spending time here. The bed setup was super comfortable, and I could easily turn and move around without restricted movement. And even though I didn't capture the interactions on camera, I had some great conversations with the crew who were all incredibly kind and friendly. Qatar Airways is actually planning on discontinuing their first class offering once their A380s are retired by the end of the decade, and will focus on what most consider to be the best business class in the world. With their business offering being already at such a high level, it leaves their first class product in a bit of a weird place right now, without too much to differentiate it. Let me know what you thought of Qatar Airways first class in the comments, and make sure to hit like and subscribe. Till next time.